Welcome back to Room 13A. If you love spine-chilling Appalachian horror stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a tale from the shadows. Now, let's dive into tonight's story. Fog clung to the trees like a thick, living blanket. The Appalachian forest was silent, but the silence was heavy, almost suffocating. Somewhere deep in the woods, a faint, rhythmic clatter echoed, a train that hadn't run for over a century. That train belonged to Moonville Tunnel, a forgotten stretch of railroad carved into the hills of Ohio. Its iron tracks were long gone, swallowed by weeds and rot, but the stories never died. Locals whispered about the tunnel in hushed voices. They said it was cursed. Ghosts lingered where the living feared to tread. The Moonville Phantom wasn't just a legend, it was a warning. People disappeared here, vanishing without a trace, leaving behind only the cold, eerie silence of the forest. And some nights, when the moon hung low and full, whispers could be heard, faint, almost pleading, echoing from deep within the tunnel. It starts small, a rustle in the underbrush, a shadow that seems to move just out of the corner of your eye. You tell yourself it's your imagination. Everyone does. But Moonville Tunnel has a way of twisting reality. Those who ventured too close claimed they felt eyes on them, unseen but piercing. Footsteps echoed behind them, soft at first, then growing louder, as if someone or something was matching their pace. The entrance to the tunnel is deceptively ordinary. A simple stone archway, half hidden by vines and moss. It looks abandoned, harmless. But the air is different here. Thick, cold, and heavy with the scent of damp earth and rust. And if you step closer, a chill runs through your body, seeping into your bones. Some say the tunnel itself is alive, feeding on fear, drawing in those who are curious or foolish enough to ignore the warnings. Stories of the vanished are countless. A young couple camping nearby who never returned, their tent found torn apart, as if something had ripped through it in the night. A man hunting for old railroad relics who screamed for hours before the forest swallowed his cries. And then there are the whispers. People swear they hear voices calling their names from inside the tunnel. Soft at first, like a gentle murmur, then louder, more insistent. It's as if the tunnel itself is alive, whispering secrets that are never meant to be heard. The first time you hear the whispers, it's almost comforting, a lonely voice in the darkness. But soon, that comfort turns to terror. The voice knows your name. It knows things only you know. It tells you to step closer, to follow it into the blackness. And some do. They vanish. Forever. Even today, Moonville Tunnel is avoided by locals after dark. The bravest, or perhaps the most foolish, adventurers come armed with flashlights and cameras, eager to capture proof of the paranormal. Few last more than a few minutes. Most return shaken, pale, muttering about shadows that moved on their own, sounds that didn't belong to any human, and whispers that will haunt them long after they leave. Tonight, we begin our journey into the heart of Moonville Tunnel. Listen carefully. The wind through the trees is not the only thing you'll hear. Every creak of stone, every echo of the forest could be something or someone watching, something waiting. Are you ready to hear the whispers? The night was unnaturally still, broken only by the occasional hoot of an owl. Jason, a local photographer with a taste for adventure, had come to Moonville Tunnel hoping to capture some shots of the abandoned site. He had heard the stories, of course, but like most, he dismissed them as old wives' tales. Yet, as he stepped closer to the stone archway, a chill crawled up his spine. The air was heavy, almost alive, pressing against him like a warning he couldn't quite hear. His flashlight cut a narrow path through the darkness, illuminating the moss-covered walls and the remnants of rusted rails. Every step echoed unnaturally, bouncing off the tunnel walls as though something, or someone, was walking alongside him. He stopped, heart hammering. Silence. Too much silence. Then came the whisper. Faint, almost melodic, calling his name. Jason, he froze. His pulse raced. No one was supposed to be here. He spun around, flashlights swinging wildly. Nothing. Just the black void of the forest behind him. Trying to steady his breath, he told himself it was the wind. But the whisper returned, closer this time, sharper, more insistent. "Jason, come in." A shiver ran down his spine. He considered leaving, turning back into the safety of the trees. But curiosity gnawed at him. The photographer's instinct, his need to capture something extraordinary, overpowered fear. He stepped closer to the tunnel's mouth. The whisper faded, replaced by a hollow echo of footsteps deep inside. And then a cold gust of air hit his face, carrying with it a faint metallic scent, like blood. As he shined his flashlight into the tunnel, shadows danced on the walls, forming shapes that shouldn't exist. Shapes that moved independently of the natural flicker of light. Jason swallowed hard. He thought he saw a figure in the distance, hunched and still. It didn't move like a human, more like a predator waiting, patient and calculating. Every instinct screamed for him to run, but his legs refused. Then came the second whisper, clearer now, almost demanding. "Come closer." Jason's stomach churned. He realized the tunnel wasn't empty. Something watched, hidden in the darkness, testing him. He felt eyes burn into his back, invisible but undeniable. Every step forward was met with an oppressive weight, as though the tunnel itself tried to pull him in. His flashlight flickered. Shadows stretched and twisted, forming grotesque shapes that seemed to reach for him. Panic rose. He tried to call out, but his voice caught in his throat. The whispering grew louder, almost overlapping his own thoughts, until he could no longer tell which was his mind and which belonged to the entity inside. The air became icy. Frost formed on the tunnel walls, even though it was midsummer. The whispers became chanting in a language he didn't know, but somehow understood. A warning, or a lure. Then, without warning, the flashlight went out. Total darkness. Jason's heart slammed against his ribs. He fumbled, panic taking over, when he felt it, a brush of cold fingers along his shoulder. Not a living hand, something else. Something unnatural. He screamed and bolted, stumbling out of the tunnel, tripping over the broken rails and roots. When he finally reached the safety of the forest edge, gasping and trembling, he swore he heard laughter, soft, echoing, and utterly inhuman. Jason never returned to Moonville Tunnel. Yet, he could never forget the whispers. At night, in the silence of his apartment, he sometimes hears them again, faint, beckoning him back. And he isn't the only one. Locals say that the tunnel calls to those who dare approach it. Some heed the call. Few return. The next night, Mara, a paranormal investigator with a camera crew, decided to face the Moonville Tunnel herself. Unlike Jason, she came prepared, night vision cameras, motion sensors, and recording devices. Her team joked nervously as they approached the stone archway, but the laughter faded quickly when the air grew thick, cold, and heavy. The forest seemed to hold its breath. Even the wind dared not stir. As they stepped closer, the first thing Mara noticed was the silence. Not just quiet, but an unnatural, oppressive stillness that pressed against her eardrums. The usual sounds of night, crickets, frogs, distant owls, had vanished. Only the faint whispering remained, curling around her like smoke. Soft, coaxing yet sinister. "Do you hear that?" one of her crew whispered. Mara nodded, gripping her flashlight tighter. Every step into the tunnel magnified the sounds. The scrape of stone, the drip of water, and the faint murmur of voices she couldn't identify. She flicked on her night vision camera, revealing shapes moving in the shadows. Not human shapes, but tall, twisted figures that seemed to glide along the walls. Then came the first real sign that the tunnel was alive. A gust of wind, freezing and unnatural, swept through the archway. Her breath fogged instantly, even though the summer night was warm outside. The lights of her equipment flickered. Whispers surged, overlapping into a low, continuous chant. It wasn't calling a name this time. It was calling her. "Come, closer, deeper," Mara swallowed hard. Her instincts screamed to retreat, but she pressed forward, camera rolling. As she ventured further, The tunnel seemed to stretch endlessly. The walls twisted unnaturally. The ceiling arched impossibly high. Every footstep echoed, as if someone, or something, followed behind. Shadows shifted independently of the light. Eyes, glowing faintly, blinked in the darkness, vanishing when she tried to focus. A low moan vibrated through the tunnel. It was deep, guttural, and coming from all directions at once. Mara's team huddled together, trembling. One member pointed to a faint light ahead, a ghostly glow that hovered in the distance. Against all reason, Mara moved toward it, feeling as if invisible hands guided her steps. The glow coalesced into a figure, hunched, indistinct, and flickering like a dying flame. As she approached, it disappeared, replaced by a wall of darkness that pressed against her mind. Whispers now screamed inside her head, impossible to ignore, repeating one chilling message. You shouldn't be here. Suddenly, the floor beneath her seemed to shift. Loose stones tumbled, echoing loudly. Her flashlight swung wildly. Then came the sensation, a hand, icy and heavy, brushing her shoulder. Not human, not living. Mara spun around, but the tunnel behind her was empty. The darkness ahead, however, pulsed, as though breathing, alive and aware of her presence. The chanting rose to a deafening crescendo. Her heart pounded. The walls seemed to pulse, closing in, echoing her panic. She realized, in a chilling moment, that the tunnel did not want visitors. It wanted more than just fear. It wanted her. And then silence. Complete, suffocating silence. When her camera crew blinked in the darkness, Mara was gone. Only her equipment remained, recording the empty tunnel. The whispers lingered, faint but mocking. The Moonville Tunnel had claimed her, just as it had claimed countless others. No one knows exactly what she saw or what followed her into the shadows. But locals say that on nights when the moon is full, the tunnel is alive again, calling. And sometimes, if you listen closely, you can hear a scream echoing from deep within. The Moonville Tunnel doesn't just haunt the forest. It haunts the minds of those who survive or escape. Jason, Mara, and countless others may have physically left, but the tunnel followed them. In the dead of night, a whisper brushes through their thoughts. A shadow flickers at the edge of their vision. A chill crawls up their spine for no reason. The terror doesn't end with distance. The tunnel remembers. Jason swore he heard the whisper calling his name while driving home, even in the safety of his apartment. Mara's crew reported that her camera footage, recovered from the abandoned site, captured faint shadows moving independently of the light, impossible shapes lingering where no human stood. Some nights, people hear footsteps in their homes, a low murmur just beyond comprehension. Those who ignore the warnings find themselves staring into the darkness, feeling watched. Always watched. The Moonville Tunnel has become more than a location. It is a legend, a warning, a curse. Locals rarely talk about it aloud, but in whispers, they speak of the missing, of the voices, and of the night when the tunnel calls. It always calls. Full moon, foggy night, empty tracks, it doesn't matter. The tunnel is patient. It waits. And it feeds on fear, on curiosity, on anyone who dares approach. Visitors often leave with more than fear. Some leave with questions that have no answers. Questions like, what do they see that cannot be explained? What followed them outside the tunnel? And why, no matter how far they run, do the whispers persist? Some claim the tunnel reaches into dreams, invading sleep with fleeting glimpses of shadows, murmurs, and glowing eyes. It is relentless, and it does not forgive. Even now, Moonville Tunnel stands in silence, stone archway draped in moss, tracks buried beneath decades of weeds. To the untrained eye, it is abandoned, harmless. Yet the air is thick with secrets. Step too close, and the whispers may call your name. Step inside, and the darkness may remember you forever. The forest seems quiet, but the tunnel listens. Patient, calculating, waiting for the next curious soul to wander into its shadows. If you ever find yourself near Moonville Tunnel, heed the warnings. Do not linger. Do not peek inside. And for the love of your own sanity, do not respond to the whispers. Because once you do, the tunnel will mark you. And sometimes the tunnel never lets go. So, next time you walk by an abandoned railway, hear the faint sound of a train, or catch a shadow moving just out of sight, remember, some places are meant to be left alone. Some legends are true, and the whispers from Moonville Tunnel are very real. If you felt the chill tonight, remember to like, subscribe, and watch our next story. But beware, some doors, once opened, can never be closed.